Good evening and welcome to this special live episode on KTV2. I'm Yusuf Jamal Ibrahim, and tonight we will cover an important and celebrated moment for Kuwait, the official visit of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the President of the United Arab Emirates. Over the next hour, we'll take a closer look at the strong bonds uniting the two nations, touching on political, economic and cultural ties that continue to grow stronger. So stay with us as we dive into the details of this momentous occasion, celebrating the spirit of collaboration and unity that defines our relationship with the United Arab Emirates.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صاحب السمو الأخ العزيز الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان حفظكم الله ورعاكم، رئيس دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة الشقيقة، إخواني الحضور الكرام، يسرنا اليوم وعلى أرض دولة الكويت الطيبة أن نستقبل بالود والاعتزاز الأخ العزيز والضيف الكريم صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان رئيس دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة الشقيقة حفظه الله ورعاه، والوفد المرافق لسموه في زيارة دولة لبلدهم الثاني، فمرحبا بالأشقاء بين أهلهم وإخوانهم. صاحب السمو الأخ العزيز الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان حفظكم الله ورعاكم، رئيس دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة الشقيقة، إذ أشكر سموكم رعاكم الله على تلبية دعوتي لهذه الزيارة، فإنني أؤكد في هذا المقام أنها محطة جديدة لتوثيق وترسيخ العلاقات التاريخية الوطيدة التي أسسها والدكم المغفور له بإذن الله تعالى الشيخ زايد بن سلطان آل نهيان مع حكام دولة الكويت السابقين رحمهم الله جميعا، وتأصيل للروابط التي تجمع بلدينا وشعبينا الشقيقين، حريصين على المضي بها في حاضر مشرق ونحو مستقبل واعد، سواء على المستوى الثنائي من خلال اللجنة المشتركة الكويتية الإماراتية وما تقوم به من تنسيق في كافة المجالات، لا سيما الاقتصاد والاستثمار والتبادل التجاري، أو من خلال البيت الخليجي الواحد. ومسيرة مجلس التعاون لدول الخليج العربية بما يحقق مصالح بلدينا الشقيقين وصالح شعبينا الكريمين. الحضور الكرام، نحن نعتز بالانسجام بين المواقف الكويتية الإماراتية على الصعيدين الإقليمي والدولي، وفي ظل أوضاع وأحداث غاية في الحساسية تشهدها المنطقة والعالم، فإننا نؤكد أن مواجهة التحديات الإقليمية والدولية المتغيرة تتطلب التزام الجميع بالثوابت الأساسية التي تحكمها العلاقات والمواثيق الدولية، وضرورة تغليب صوت الحكمة. ختاماً، ندعو الله عز وجل أن يسدد دائماً على دروب الخير خطاكم، ويديم على سموكم جزيل نعمه وحسن توفيقه، وعلى دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة الشقيقة في ظل قيادتكم الرشيدة التقدم والتميز. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أخي الشيخ مشعل، الله يحفظك بعزك وصحتك، ويحفظ بلادك بالعز والأمان إن شاء الله. أنا سعيد سيدي بزيارة دولة الكويت. لقائي معكم للتشاور وتبادل وجهات النظر حول كل ما يهم بلدينا ومنطقتنا، بما هو معروف عنكم من حكمة ورؤية ثاقبة، وإن شاء الله دائما نلتقي على الخير لصالح بلدينا والمنطقة. والحقيقة أن الإمارات والكويت دائما تلتقيان على الخير، وأشكركم سيدي على هذه الكلمات الطيبة التي تعبر عن صدق مشاعركم تجاه بلدكم الإمارات وشعبها. العلاقات بين الإمارات والكويت هي علاقات بين إخوة أشقاء تجمعهم روابط الدم والتاريخ والثقافة والجوار والقيم والمصالح المشتركة، وتقوم على الثقة والاحترام والمحبة. أخي الشيخ مشعل، أنا أقول هذه الكلمات عن علاقتنا، أكاد أن أجزم أن الكلمات ذاتها قد قيلت قبل ما يقارب 56 عام على هذه الأرض الطيبة، بالتحديد في الزيارة الرسمية الأولى للوالد الشيخ زايد طيب الله ثراه لدولة الكويت، واللقاء الذي جرى مع الشيخ صباح السالم طيب الله ثراه. مضت السنوات والعقود يا أخي، ونحن على العهد نفسه وعلى الود نفسه وعلى الرابط نفسه، ولله الحمد. تؤمن الإمارات أخي الشيخ مشعل بأن التعاون الاقتصادي هو الأساس القوي لدعم العلاقات والمصالح بين الأشقاء، وتحقيق تطلعات شعوبنا نحو التقدم والازدهار، سواء في مجلس التعاون الخليجي أو على المستوى العربي. وفي هذا السياق فإن دولة الإمارات تعتبر الكويت أحد أهم شركاء العمل من أجل التقدم والتنمية في المنطقة. والحمد لله العلاقات الاقتصادية بين بلدينا نموذج للعمل المشترك من أجل الازدهار والمستقبل الأفضل للبلدين والشعبين. ففي العام الماضي وصل حجم التبادل التجاري غير النفطي أكثر من 12 مليار دولار، والإمارات ولله الحمد ثاني أكبر شريك تجاري للكويت في العالم والأول عربيا. وإن شاء الله يتحقق المزيد من التطور في العلاقات الاقتصادية خلال الفترة المقبلة بوجودك الله يحفظك. أخي الشيخ مشعل، الإمارات داعم أساسي للعمل الخليجي المشترك، وفكرة الوحدة مترسخة في ثقافتنا الإمارات. وفي ظل التحديات الصعبة في المنطقة والعالم، فإن منظومة العمل الخليجي ضمانة أساسية لصيانة مصالحنا المشتركة ودعم الأمن والاستقرار أيضا في المنطقة. والإمارات حريصة على التعاون مع الكويت وجميع دول مجلس التعاون لتعزيز هذه المنظومة لمصلحة شعوبنا. سيدي، أكرر الشكر لكم أخي الشيخ مشعل على حسن الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة، وأتمنى للكويت دوام التقدم والازدهار في ظل قيادتك، الله يحفظك.
شكرا، بارك الله فيك يا
الله
طويل
يطول
العمر.
عمرك يا سيدي.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us in the studio here tonight is our guest Dr. Saad bin Tafla Al-Ajmi, former Ministry of Information, distinguished Kuwaiti academic and journalist. Dr. Al-Ajmi has contributed extensively to Kuwait's media and political landscape, sharing his insights and expertise across the region. Now, with his vast background and his role in shaping media perspectives, Dr. Al-Ajmi is well versed in the intricacies of Gulf relations and the importance of this historic visit by the President of the UAE. Dr. Saad, good evening. It's a great pleasure and honor to have you here with us tonight.
Glad to be here with you, Yusuf.
Dr. Saad, if you would allow me, I would like to start first by asking you about Kuwait and the UAE. They have shared a long history of cooperation. Can we go back and highlight on some of the key milestones in their relationship?
Yes, needless to say that they are brotherly states. They have shared history and language and culture and membership of the GCC. The Emiratis feel so much gratitude towards Kuwait back in the 60s for their obligatory duty of aiding our brothers back in the 60s, and they humble us all the time, actually, by expressing their gratitude. And we are humbled because we don't think that we should be thanked for doing what we did to our own brethren states and brethren people in the United Arab Emirates. On the other hand, people in Kuwait remember and reminisce the intrepid role of Sheikh Zayed and his leadership back in 1990 when Kuwait was occupied, when the Emiratis embraced the Kuwaiti people to the point where late Sheikh Zayed actually ordered the substitution of the national anthem of the United Arab Emirates in the morning routines in all over the United Arab Emirates schools with the Kuwaiti national anthem. Now that speaks volume about how much of a
strong bond and relationship
absolutely,
we
and how much of help and the refuge and the steadfastness of the United Arab Emirates, along with the GCC countries and other brotherly and sisterly states and friends all over the world. But it was very peculiar and very particular. Now, having said that, it is important, I think, to also point out that His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the great guest of Kuwait today, was also a participant in the Emirati army, which participated in the liberation of Kuwait back in 1991. There were pictures that were all over the Kuwaiti press today, I mean, showing him in his military uniform when he courageously participated in the liberation
Which
of
means
Kuwait.
a lot to everyone in the GCC and us as Kuwaitis as well. Dr. Saad, let's zoom all the way into 2024 and possibly future-wise beyond 2024. What are the key factors driving this close partnership today and from now on?
Look, it's very unfortunate that we have to mention that the very visit in itself is a manifestation of the strong bonds between two Arab countries in a region where there are rivalries and wars between Arabs and between different factions of Arab countries. Yet, the very visit itself is a token to the world that, look, there are people who really are longing for cooperation, for peace, prosperity, and this visit is a mere example of that whim, of that objective of the people and their leaders in the region. It's not always the stereotypical image of Arabs infighting and Arab wars and interwars that always smears the image of the region and the Arab world and the Arab countries in the international media.
And how have their joint efforts, especially that they are very active in the GCC, helped shape regional policy, let's say?
Surely, you see, the United Arab Emirates is a good example of the wish of the people for unity. I, for one, are one of those citizens of the GCC countries who call for the Gulf Confederation. The United Arab Emirates is 7 states, 7 sheikdoms, 7 provinces, call them whatever you want to call them, but they've been standing there for well over 50 years as one, and have proven that we can actually cooperate as one.
Correct.
And we can have a confederation or a federation in this case in the United Arab Emirates. And Sheikh Zayed had actually, with his spontaneous wisdom, succeeded in bringing about this unity of 7 different Arab entities, whatever you want to call them, and had been successfully not only unifying them, but presenting them as an example of prosperity and cooperation, an example of tolerance and acceptance for all. The United Arab Emirates is something of a pride for all Arabs, I think, and for any human being who is a peace-loving person who loves coexistence and tolerance and prosperity and peace and security.
Dr. Saad, we are proud knowing our brothers are unified, and their great leadership and wisdom is showing the world, not just us, they are showing the world what they are capable of doing and what they will be doing future-wise. Dr. Saad, let's take a quick look at this following report and we'll get back to more questions.
Sure.
As we celebrate this historic visit by His Highness the President of the UAE, it's a fitting moment to look back at the long-standing relationship between Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates. Here are the details in the following report.
Kuwaiti-Emirati relations have long been characterized by deep social, economic, and cultural ties, evolving over decades into dynamic and multi-layered partnership. Both countries share a rich history of collaboration that has been strengthened by common values, mutual respect, and shared goals in the fields of politics, economics, and security. Over the past several decades, the relationship between Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates UAE has witnessed remarkable development driven by the wise leadership of both nations. This partnership has flourished in various domains, notably in the political, economic, commercial, and military spheres, underscoring the strategic alignment between the two Gulf states. Politically, Kuwait and the UAE have worked together to ensure regional stability and security, often taking aligned positions on major issues facing the Gulf and the wider Middle East. Both countries are founding members of the Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) and have played an active role in promoting regional integration, stability, and cooperation within the framework of the GCC. Kuwait's well-established role as a neutral mediator, coupled with the UAE's proactive foreign policy, have enabled both nations to navigate complex geopolitical challenges together. Their diplomatic efforts in international forums such as the United Nations reflect a shared commitment to peace, multilateralism, and cooperative governance.
That was an insightful report on Kuwaiti-Emirati relations. To further explore the significance of this visit and the impact on our region, we're now joined on the line by Dr. Khalid Al-Jamfawi, a political analyst from Kuwait. Dr. Al-Jamfawi, welcome and thank you for being with us here tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
Doctor, the UAE and the Kuwait share strong political and strategic ties within the Gulf Cooperation Council. Can you please elaborate more about this relationship?
Indeed, the two countries share great ties and also deeper ties within the context of the GCC. In addition to this, of course, we also have close relationships in relation to economic cooperation, security cooperation, cyber cooperation, and other kinds of agreements. So, indeed, yeah, we have a very close relationship.
Dr. Khalid, can you also give us, we know that given both countries' commitment to humanitarian aid and development, how would you view their roles in shaping the future of humanitarian policy and disaster relief efforts in the region?
Well, both countries have a long history in helping the poor and the needy, especially in the Middle Eastern region. And the United Arab Emirates initiatives, especially within the context of the Gaza conflict, is very obvious and very appreciated. As well as Kuwait contributed also for the needy around the world and within the, if you like, the heated context of the Middle East. Both countries focused their efforts to helping our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And I think these efforts are appreciated by the international community and also by the Arab and Middle Eastern region.
Dr. Khalid, thank you so much. So it's the long history is not just regionally for both countries, as we know that their giving has reached worldwide countries as well. Thank you, Dr. Khalid, for joining us. Dr. Saad, now we're going to get back with more questions.
I'm glad to hear from Dr. Khalid. He and I were colleagues actually at the university before his early retirement. It's been quite a while, since I've heard from him or seen him.
Well, since you were colleagues back in university, then if you don't mind me asking, sharing, would you like to say anything based on what Dr. Khalid, or add on what Dr. Khalid just mentioned?
Well, I think he touched upon the Kuwaiti and Emirati humanitarian aid along with other GCC countries for the Palestinian people. It's a very dire situation. It's a very difficult situation for the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip now under constant bombardment and constant genocide, actually. And the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, along with other GCC countries, are doing their best actually to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people now. Let's hope that the pressure by both countries and other countries could bring
relief.
Could bring actually this genocide to an end.
Dr. Saad, let's move to the cooperation aspect and regional security. Given the growing security challenges in the Middle East, how does Kuwait and the UAE collaborate security-wise?
There are different examples actually of the cooperation amongst the GCC countries. The very continuum of the GCC in this region, this fragmented region actually, in this region that is very unfortunate of living, going from one war to another, regional war to another civil war to another, or the ongoing genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza. Comes, this kind of visit and cooperation between the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait to tell the world that, again, there are people here in this region who are serious and sincere about the objectives of cooperation and prosperity for the people of this region. And these are not warmongering people, quite the opposite. It is the others who are after wars, and the people here are after, security, stability, and coexistence. The cooperation between the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait figures, speak for themselves about how strong the ties between the two countries are. They also are presenting an evidence of the intentions of these countries for what kind of world they want, what kind of region they want, which is the region of cooperation and stability and peace.
Dr. Saad, we'll stop here, take a quick phone call, and get back to more questions. Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates to Kuwait, Dr. Matar al-Niyadi, said the historic state visit of His Highness the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to Kuwait is part of the strong Kuwaiti Emirati ties. The ambassador added that His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed described the Kuwaiti Emirati ties as historic and deep, also based on mutual understanding and respect, affirming that both countries are eager to develop bilateral relations and cooperation in all domains. دكتور خالد الجنفاوي.
لا شك في تحديات وفي فرص، ودائما الفرص تأتي من التحديات. اليوم مثلا إذا بنتكلم عن الأمن الغذائي، الإمارات لديها كثير من الحلول التي ممكن أن يساهم القطاع الخاص في الأمن الغذائي في دولة الإمارات في استراتيجية الأمن الغذائي في دولة الكويت. أيضا بالنسبة للنقل وسرعة النقل، شفنا يعني في أكتوبر الماضي اهتمام مجموعة موانئ أبو ظبي بفتح مكتب وفرع في دولة الكويت شقيقة لتسهيل حقيقة حركة النقل البحري من خلال شركة سفين التابعة لمجموعة موانئ أبو ظبي. فهناك حقيقة يعني قد تكون هناك بعض التحديات، ولكن أيضا هناك بعض الحلول التي يعمل عليها الطرفين لخلق فرص منها تساهم أكثر في تحقيق منفعة متبادلة للقطاع الخاص في البلدين الشقيقين.
The state visit of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the President of the United Arab Emirates, to the state of Kuwait. A prominent milestone in further consolidating the strong historical relations between the two countries and embodying the bonds of brotherhood.
Welcome back to KTV2 Studios with our distinguished guest, Dr. Saad bin Tufla Al-Ajmi. Dr. Saad, we just had a lovely side conversation. I want to elaborate to our audience more about it. I want to talk about the image of these visits. How important are they, worldwide speakingly?
Perhaps it is even important to talk about the image of the United Arab Emirates.
Correct.
You know, the Dubai image.
Yes.
You see, the stereotype of this region is negative, and it brings to the mind of the outsider from this region three sort of subconscious images or stereotypes.
Correct.
Women, terrorism, oil, perhaps, you know, camels are disappearing, you know. But then, you know,
desert,
you know, the desert is something to be proud of, and so is
correct.
camels.
It's
and
our
you know,
culture.
what have you. It is. But then comes Dubai, which is a hub of the world.
Correct.
What is it? The figures, I don't have the figures in front of me, but they're talking about 80 million people go through the Dubai airport every year.
Correct.
Now, some stay, some go, some transit, some. But the Dubai experience had actually humanized this region. I remember writing an article a few years back saying that the Dubai experiment, the Dubai example, and the World Cup organized in Qatar, in Doha, have actually humanized this region. They have contributed to the humanization of this region by saying, look, you guys, it's not just terrorism and
Correct.
oil and camels and suppression of women as you think, you know. It is people who love football, and they can organize a fantastic tournament of the World Cup. And it is people who are very welcoming and very advanced and high-tech and organized and safe in the city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Now, we say this as Kuwaitis with pride. Of course,
Correct.
we do have our, you know, we are trying to compete by becoming or competing in this field rather than, you know, say arms races between North Korea and South Korea.
Correct.
Or, you know, Russia and Ukraine, or the NATO and Russia and what have you.
That's two brothers competing
Exactly,
to be the best.
competing for the best.
Yes.
And also learning from one another.
Correct.
And the United Arab Emirates is way advanced in
Correct.
many fields. And I
Worldwide
think that
speakingly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
To take ports, for example, not necessarily, you know, cyber security or education, but take the ports. I mean, the United Arab Emirates now operate ports all over the world, including ports in the
Amazing.
United States. So this could also be very helpful for the port of Mbarak the Great. You know, Mina,
Correct.
You know,
Mina Abdullah.
Mina Mbarak.
Mina Mbarak, sorry,
the
excuse me.
Great, Mbarak al-Kabir. Therefore, you know, it is an opportunity to actually learn from the experience that they have and the huge and vast experience they have accumulated over the years, to the point where they are operating international ports in the so-called first world countries. So, you know, yes, these are things that we have to actually make use of. I think that the stronger you are nowadays in economics, in your economy, the more audible you will be in the international political arena.
Correct. So Dubai has become the hotspot worldwide, not just for tourism, education, health. Also, logistically speaking, we just mentioned ports-wise, Dubai is operating ports worldwide. I want to go to the aspect of economics. How has each country complemented each other between Kuwait and Dubai within their strengths? Especially, what areas of economic collaboration are most promising between the two countries, Dr. Saad?
I think I have a few figures. I think your earlier report, as I was actually coming to the studio and I was listening to it on the radio, news bulletin, but then on the radio and on the TV was mentioned some of those figures, and they're easy actually to Google. But you know, the trade between the two countries surpassed $10 billion. Small, relatively small countries, close by, similar economies in terms of the resources. That's an acceptable figure temporarily. We hope that it will increase or double, you know, within the next few years. There are investment companies in both countries. The decree that was issued by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed last week to treat all GCC citizens like UAE citizens in terms of any type of economic activity they want or investment, is in itself a very good step in the right direction for what we hope for for an economic integration amongst the GCC countries. Because if you read the manifesto of the GCC, in the first page it says that this is for economic cooperation. We have cooperated, but not good enough in the GCC. It's not what we hope for, because the ultimate target is for confederation. That's what I hope for. But so far, I mean, considering the fragmentation of all Arab kind of organizations, I don't want to say including the Arab League, but other forms of endeavors to bring about cooperation in the Maghreb countries, or the Arab Council of Cooperation, which was spearheaded by Saddam Hussein and Ali Abdullah Saleh and late King Hussein and late President Mubarak. They're all but gone. I mean, they vanished. The GCC is still there, standing alive and kicking. We wanted to actually advance more. We hope for more. We think that this is not the best that we can achieve, and we have strong belief and a creed in the leadership of the GCC countries to hopefully meet most of the objectives and the aspirations of the people of the GCC countries.
Dr. Saad, I want to go deeper into economy. As we know, worldwide the world is witnessing some sad events happening, which could potentially affect, which also it is actually affecting economy worldwide. With what's going on in the Middle East, I want to touch a topic, that the GCC is currently not relying just on oil. How are we expanding Kuwait and the UAE and not relying just on oil?
I think they have actually made a major leap in not depending on oil. This is the talk of town in Saudi Arabia and other GCC countries, to do without oil as the sole source of the GDP of the country. And the United Arab Emirates have actually presented a good example of how they can actually attract millions of tourists every year in a bare land. I mean, 30 years ago or 40 years ago, it was just bare desert. And the vision and decision of late Sheikh Zayed and the leadership in the United Arab Emirates have made it really a mecca for tourists, to go and to come from everywhere in the world. Can we learn from that experience? It'll probably be irrelevant for your audience actually to talk about the situation in Kuwait, but this is what we hope for, and this is what we talk about. This is also the talk of different circles within the businesses in Kuwait and the business circles of Kuwait.
Dr. Saad, as we know that Kuwait and the UAE are linked by a number of agreements, how will that contribute to increasing investment volumes and trade exchange, in your opinion? Or can you
let's continue with some of the figures. I mean, Kuwaiti visitors, Emirati visitors to Kuwait last year were 50,000. It was 400,000 Kuwaitis visiting the United Arab Emirates, and the disparity here is quite clear. I mean, the gap between where the direction is. But then you have something like 16 flights between the two countries
on a daily basis.
On daily basis,
correct.
Daily flights. The United Arab Emirates is the second largest trade partner of Kuwait next to China. Can we increase that? Can we? You see, I am a deep believer that if you can interconnect people economically, then they will surpass, say, wrong political decisions. Let me give you an example, a European example. In Europe, for example, a project like the Airbus, humongous, a mega project of the Airbus that is assembled in Toulouse, France. The engines come from Rolls-Royce in England. The electronics and what have you come from Germany. I think it is the decoration and the inside of the airplane comes from Spain, something else comes from Italy, and therefore you have thousands of workers in every country working on one project alone. Now, you cannot have another, say, Hitler in Europe, waking up and deciding that he wants to invade Poland or to invade France the next day, because, you have thousands and thousands of workers whose livelihood is at stake here if you start another war. And therefore, they were, the war between Russia and Ukraine. Let's hope that all wars will stop, but it was actually a reminiscent of how vulnerable things can be if there is no strong economic ties. And the hope was to bring about Russia into some sort of an economic integration after the fall of the Soviet Union, but they didn't. The Russians think that there is a conspiracy against them by the Europeans trying to fragment them, and the Europeans think that Russia is still a threat to them because they still have the dream of the USSR, in other words, the Soviet Union. Now, I'm only giving you this example to say, look, cooperation amongst people in this region, the intertwined mutual interests of people here in this region will make it difficult for somebody like, say, Saddam Hussein to wake up, or not to wake up, to stay up late and then invade another brethren country. Because people's livelihood is at stake.
Correct.
I am a strong believer that we should actually tie up people together through the quote-unquote dollars and cents, their own livelihood. Therefore, they will not be thinking in the past or thinking, of vendettas or thinking in history. They will be thinking about their daily lives and how to bring up their children and to raise their
focus
families.
on education more and tourism as well.
Education and health and
happiness
tourism.
in general.
Sorry?
Happiness in general instead of grieving most of the time.
Yes, livelihood, to live a decent life as human beings.
Which is the main basic let's say right for each human being worldwide.
Yeah.
Dr. Saad, before I take this quick report, in your opinion, I would like to ask you, with the fast-moving world and this fast pace with technology, do you see wars stopping soon and people taking more action towards tourism? And instead of seeing just 16 daily flights from Kuwait to Dubai, will we be able to see double those figures?
And hopefully fast trains, I mean, we keep on hearing these, this project of the trains, and then one hurdle after another. It's bureaucratic sometimes, it's interest groups, some other times, and it's very sad that such a simple thing that is supposed to bring people together. I mean, they're talking about, what do they call it, the bullet train? Bullet train between Dubai and Abu Dhabi in 12 minutes.
Correct.
And between Dubai and Riyadh in 40 minutes. It should be between Kuwait and Dubai, say, or Abu Dhabi in 1 hour.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we've heard that they are in action currently. Is that correct?
Is it?
It is.
I don't know. I mean, like, you're the people of the media. You should tell me.
We are looking.
I have no idea. I have no news. I mean, it'll be great news if it is true. But I've heard about this. But I haven't seen it
these projects are up and
materialized,
coming, and we do actually look forward for them. It is going to increase actually the tourism action as we speak.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
instead of saying 16 planes, we could see 16 trains
I
and 28
agree.
plains.
I agree.
We look forward for that great future,
Yes.
and especially for wars to stop also.
Yes, absolutely.
Dr. Saad, we're going to take a quick break and get back with you for more questions if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Well, as we continue to explore the depth of Kuwaiti-Emirati relations, it's important to highlight the robust economic partnership between the two nations. Especially over the years, Kuwait and the UAE have built a dynamic economic relationship with mutual investments and collaborations that's driving growth in various sectors. And this report will take a closer look at the shared economic ventures, investment opportunities, and the strategic role both countries play in the regional economy.
The state of Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates share a strong and growing economic partnership driven by mutual investment, trade, and strategic collaboration. The UAE is one of Kuwait's primary trading partners, with both countries exchanging goods such as Kuwait's oil, petrochemical products, and agriculture, and the UAE's machinery, electronics, and consumer goods. Free trade agreements within the Gulf Cooperation Council facilitate these exchanges. Investment cooperation is a cornerstone of their relationship, with UAE-based companies like Emaar and Dubai Investment actively investing in Kuwait real estate, banking, and energy sectors. Kuwait has invested significantly in the UAE, particularly in banking, tourism, and technology, with the Kuwait Investment Authority holding key stakes in Emirati companies. Both nations also collaborate on joint ventures and infrastructure, with UAE companies contributing to a major construction and transport project in Kuwait. In the energy sector, Kuwait and the UAE work together through OPEC to manage oil production and are investing in renewable energy technologies. Additionally, tourism and cultural exchanges continue to grow, strengthening people-to-people ties. The financial services sectors are also tightly connected, with Kuwaiti banks active in the UAE market. Overall, the economic relationship between Kuwait and the UAE remains a crucial part of the Gulf economic future.
Ladies and gentlemen, now to gain further insight into the political and economic implications of the Kuwaiti-UAE relationship, we're joined by Dr. Nasser Al-Hajri, a renowned political and economic analyst. Dr. Nasser, can you please tell us about the economic collaborations between Kuwait and the UAE that have evolved over the past decade?
First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And regarding your question, over the past decade, economic collaboration between Kuwait and the UAE have significantly evolved, focusing on various sectors to enhance trade and investment. One of the key areas of collaboration is in an infrastructure development, where both countries have invested in joint projects, particularly in transportation and logistics. This includes initiatives to improve connectivity through roads and ports. Additionally, the two nations have worked together in the energy sector, with partnership in oil and gas explorations, as well as renewable energy projects. The establishment of free trade agreement and joint venture has also been pivotal in boosting bilateral trade, allowing for a more seamless exchange of goods and services. Furthermore, both countries have participated in various economic forums and summits, fostering a cooperative environment that encourage private sector involvement and investment. This has led to increased economic diversification efforts as both nations aim to reduce their reliance on oil revenue and expand into sectors such as tourism, finance, and technology.
Dr. Nasser, with the global economy facing new challenges, what opportunities do you see for Kuwait and the UAE to further strengthen their economic ties?
With the global economy facing new challenges, Kuwait and the UAE have several opportunities to further strengthen their economic ties. One significant opportunity lies in enhancing digital transformation and technology collaboration. Both countries can invest in tech startup and innovation hubs, fostering a knowledge-based economy that can adapt to changing market conditions. Additionally, the growing focus on sustainability presents a chance for joint ventures in renewable energy projects by collaborating on solar and wind energy initiatives. Kuwait and the UAE can lead the way in sustainable development in the region, attracting investment and expertise. Moreover, expanding trade agreements and easing regulations can facilitate greater cross-border investment by promoting tourism and cultural exchanges. Both nations can leverage their unique offerings to boost economic growth and create a more integrated regional market. These collaborative efforts can help both countries navigate global economy challenges while driving mutual growth.
Thank you, Dr. Nasser Al-Hajri, for sharing your insight with us tonight. We appreciate your time and perspective. And now let's get back to our guests in the studio as we continue our coverage for this historic visit. Dr. Saad, I would like to start first by asking you about the upcoming GCC summit that's going to happen here in Kuwait. Can you just shed some light on it?
Yes, I think on the 1st of December, it is...
December 1st?
Yes,
correct.
It is supposed to be held in Kuwait here. And Kuwait had always had its symbolic role in the establishment of the GCC, because it was the notion of late Sheikh Jabir al-Ahmed al-Sabah. And Kuwait was the example by which the cooperation really excelled back in 1990, 1991, when they all came to the rescue of Kuwait and the liberation of Kuwait back in 1991. And therefore, further, Kuwait had always been a bridge of, a bridge that of cooperation within the Gulf house, so to speak. When there are differences, when differences erupt and arise, Kuwait had always been the mediator for bringing about these differences and quote-unquote disputes sometimes. Therefore, the GCC summit, when it is held in Kuwait, it has its own, symbolic value. Of course, at the end of the day, it is a matter of what decisions will be taken, and hopefully, as they were in the past, will be for the benefit of the people. And I'm sure that this visit by His Highness the Amir Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and his meeting with His Highness Amir Sheikh Mish'al, they are going to definitely touch upon that. I'm sure that negotiations will touch upon the upcoming summit of the GCC in Kuwait next December.
Dr. Saad, as we know that there is a new administration in the United States of America, is there any relevance to this visit right now, and can we potentially see an end to the current war in Gaza?
That's a very good question, actually. I think that what is on the mind of the leaders of the GCC and the people, actually, and all peace-loving people, not only in the region, not only in the Arab world, but all over the world, is to stop this genocide ASAP. And I think this is my point of view. In my opinion, the world has given up on this administration of President Joe Biden when it was an active administration, an active presidency, let alone when it is now in lame duck, term, lame duck presidency. I don't think that in this lame duck period he will exert pressure and use his leverage on Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel to stop the war on Gaza. Now, having said that, this doesn't mean that automatically once you change this administration, you know, President Trump will stop. Trump will stop the war. But if you have given up on this administration, let's hope that the upcoming administration will stop the war, because he had a phone call with the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, and he mentioned that the first thing he will do is to stop the war. When he was campaigning in Dearborn, Michigan,
he made promises.
Yes, that to the Muslim and the Arab community that he wants to stop the war, and he said that Muslims and Arabs want peace, and that's exactly what they want, and hopefully he will be able to bring that about. Now, having said that, I'm sure that the GCC leaders will also bear into account, you know, the latest news that there has been an attempt, an Iranian quote-unquote plot attempt in the American media, according to the FBI, that there has been an attempt on the life of President-elect Donald Trump. Now, this is a bad indication of the upcoming kind of relationship between the United States and a very important neighbor to us, which is Iran. It is going to have its ramification. To what degree? We hope that you know, it will be halted and not actually end up in some sort of an all-out regional war, because we think that wars and regional wars, all-out wars, are going to burn everybody and nobody's going to win in it. And we are witnessing what is happening now in Gaza. It's very unfortunate that the genocide is happening, but the Israelis are not living in peace at all.
Dr. Saad, before we conclude, is there anything you would like to add to share with our viewers tonight?
I'm glad, you know, the spirit, you know, it is very important. Some of these things that we say, we repeat. And we say it in Arabic, we say it in English, in the media. Some of the viewers may say, oh, this is really boring. I mean, like, you guys have said this 100 times. Come on, say something different. Well, sometimes we really deliberately want to repeat what we said. We want it to be redundant. We want to say it over and over and over and over again. We want to remind the younger generation of the importance of the historic relations between Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait and the GCC, how the strategic dimension of Kuwait security is in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and UAE, in Qatar, in Bahrain, in Oman. And because they haven't lived the times we have lived, we veterans, you know, we have to tell them and remind them of what His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed personally, and his late father Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan, have done for the Kuwaitis in embracing them and coming to their help and aid, and have given them everything they could actually back then to support and bring about the right of Kuwait and the freedom of Kuwait and the right of the Kuwaiti people.
Dr. Saad, it's a pleasure and an honor, especially for me, to be sitting here in front of you tonight. And I look forward for a future interview, but focusing on mass communication, journalism in the past and in the future as well. Thank you for your time.
Hopefully we'll do that some other time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude tonight's special episode, we've had the privilege of delving into the deep and multifaceted relationship between Kuwait and the UAE amid the official visit of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the President of the United Arab Emirates, to Kuwait. We'd like to also extend our thanks to our guest, Dr. Saad bin Tufla Al Ajmi, for his invaluable insights, as well as to our viewers for joining us this evening. Thank you once again for tuning in. We'll see you next time with more in-depth coverage. In the meantime, have a good night.